it's me. I'm back again. It's 2 hours later. I'm still awake. I have coffee now, so I told Charles if I nodded off, he'll just continue on. Charles Lancaster joins me as my guest today. Thank goodness this is not his first rodeo, so he has...
we can handle it. Yeah.
He could handle it. If I did nod off, he'd be just fine. He just moved me on off the camera.
I've done the morning thing too, so then
Right.
I don't think I've ever done morning and noon back to back, so that is
Right.
kind of a long
My
long
plan
morning.
was to go sit in the car in the sun, but when I got outside, it was dark when I got there. When I got outside, there was no sun, so
It was pretty cloudy.
there was no opportunity to
I've
nap
been
in the
afraid
shade.
I would have napped and forgot to get up.
Well, that was that was the concern of some here at the station, that I would not come back because I would be asleep somewhere in the car. So, but
Helen did. She got worried, so she sent me a text at like 10:49 saying, "I will see you at 11." I said, "Helen, that's way too late to be letting me know, reminding me you need to give him a little more time." But luckily, I was actually sitting out in the parking lot.
And
so.
I was just like, Charles, did you forget? Did you forget that you were to come today?
No,
This
no.
is not a good day for you to forget because I'm struggling here, so you can't forget. But we're glad Charles came in laughing because he had gotten one on me today,
Well,
but that's
kinda,
okay.
sorta, yeah.
We're glad Charles is here.
But as y'all know, you never get one on Helen. The payback will be awful
That's
tough.
right. And very unexpected.
Exactly,
Very unexpected.
Exactly.
Anyway, we will take your calls at 7646 and 7712 if you have a question about gardening. I'm still it's a little cool outside to me, Charles.
Well, gosh, back in January it was gardening time, and then February,
Really?
and then March, and all of a sudden, as you know, it's cooler again. And it's going to get cooler this weekend, I think,
Yeah.
and then go back to warm or back and forth. But finally, last weekend was Good Friday,
I know.
and for those who plant
Believing
by Good
that-
Friday,
right.
it's kind of funny because sometimes you can be a month late some years planting, but still you go by Good Friday.
Right.
But anyway, it's more about the soil temperatures than it is anything. And even though it's kind of cool above ground, if those soil temperatures are in the high 50s and 60s, then that's when your plants are going to your seed will germinate and be okay. So, if we plant too early, even if it's the right date, sometime it won't. It'll just the seed will just sit there.
Here. I answered, but it's not connecting here.
We see some phone calls coming in, but we'll see if we can't get that worked out.
Yep.
The other end there, is it?
No, it's this
Okay.
one now.
Okay.
It's not answering. No, just
We'll get
hang
to
on,
you.
caller.
Yeah.
If you're there, I have. I thought I pressed it down.
Yeah, it's working.
Well,
Call back. 'Cause if
if you call back, we'll try to.
We lost your signal, but yeah,
Yeah.
call us back. But anyway, it's time to be getting after it. But I still like to recommend, for folks, those of you who haven't maybe taken some soil samples in a while, it's still a good time to do that and get that information.
and
And we'll talk
use
about
it.
that in a minute.
All right, here we go. I cleaned these boxes. Somebody spilled apparently it was a bottle of syrup or something on that. I
K-Roll,
cleaned
maybe.
the sticky stuff off of it, but it's still a little slow. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, how do you start blueberry bushes?
You mean just by planting and getting them going, or
No, starting enough,
Start.
if you're trying to take them from cuttings or whatever?
yeah.
Okay. Well, and this is just in general on shrubs and that kind of thing. Usually you're gonna use older wood. In other words, not that new stuff, but stuff that's a little hardy. It's got some thickness to it. Usually the new stuff will be more like light green, but the older wood will be more of a kind of brownish color already.
Darker.
Yeah. So you can do it. And I just found a new way, or I read about a new way the other day. But you take those, take a cutting, and then you take at the bottom part of it, you strip off the leaves, and then you kind of scrape, or I guess you would call scarify the bark off of that, and then you dust it with a rooting hormone, and you can get that at the box stores or Holcomb's places like that, farm and garden places. and it's just a powder that goes on there. And then stick it like in a sandy type of a medium, or it could be peat moss or something like that. And then keep that moist, and those things will actually start to root over time. The only problem with that is you're looking at some time before it gets big enough to really start doing much. So if you really want to get into the blueberry, I don't say business, but growing some blueberries, you might be better off to go ahead and just start with some bigger plants. But that's the way you can do that. If you already got some plants, you want to keep it going. Another way it's called air rooting, I think it is, where you actually have an existing plant, pretty good sized plant. I was looking at it for camellias more than anything, but you can do it with anything, I think. And you have a nice limb, and you go about midway down that limb, and you do the same thing. You just scrape off all the bark on that the plant, and you coat it with a rooting hormone, and then you take some must be at a fire station.
Are you there?
This is the National Weather
Oh.
Service in Lawrencetown, Tennessee. The preceding signal was attested known by the radio station that... Okay, just take a cutting off of this little branch, just cut it.
Yeah, but you want it to be probably about maybe 4 to 6, probably I'd say 6 inches, and leave some leaves up top. But the part on the bottom you take off, and then you kind of scarify it or take off that bark. Put that rooting hormone in it and stick it down into like a sand or a peat moss type of a medium, and then keep that moist. And over time, it'll set roots. This other way it's actually you get a little bigger plant if you do this kind of air type deal, where it's above ground. You take a bigger, not a humongous limb, but one maybe it's almost as big as a little finger or something like that, and you strip off the bark while it's still on the tree. Take all the bark off, maybe in a 4 to 6 inch area, and then you sprinkle that rooting hormone on that also. Then you take some sphagnum peat moss, go ahead and wet it, and then you wrap that around that wound above and below it, wrap it in cellophane, and then wrap it in aluminum foil. And then it takes a few months for that to happen, but then in let's say 6 months, if you do it now, I think what I was looking at said about September, you could come and open that up, and there would be roots have started, a pretty good size group of roots on that. So you'd have a more substantial planting than you would with that little 6 inch cutting. But it can be done, and but again, if you're really wanting to hit it the ground running, you may be better off just go ahead and put in the bigger plants, something that's out of a gallon pot or something that's been grown. And that way, and with the varieties too, I mean, if you need to know your varieties so that you make sure you got some that are compatible here in northwest Georgia and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I put out all kinds of bushes, and they look good when I put them out, but the next year, they're dead.
Well, now with the a lot of things could happen, but one of the main things with the with blueberries is they like an acid soil, a low pH, just like azaleas. So if you've really worked hard and got your pH up to 6 to 6.5, then that's not an area you want to plant your blueberries in. They like it more at a 4.5 or a 5, more of an acidic type thing. So I would definitely consider doing a soil sample to see where you are in that situation. And if you got, you'd almost consider it kind of poor soil, but they still need to be well drained. In other words, if you got some old churty stuff out there, it's kind of okay as far as the pH goes, but if it's going to really hold moisture, nothing can really survive in that soggy type.
I thought blueberries liked a lot of water.
Well, they do, but they some people will go out there and dig a hole in this poor soil, and you might want to do this: dig a hole right there where you've been planting them, and pour you a gallon or two water in there, and see how long it takes for that water to dissipate. If you put it in there and it's still there a day, 2 days later, then that's not, it needs to be gone within a few hours for it to be good enough soil.
And my ground don't perk.
Well, that's probably some of the problem. If you got it's got to be drained. You can like water, but if you can't keep your head in the pool the whole time, you got to
be able to breathe.
Yeah, so that can be an issue, and especially in some of the soils. We have the same situation over here in Ringgold and Fort Oglethorpe too. With this really churty type soil, it just holds the water and it doesn't perk out. So you might consider that before you plant anymore, dig some holes and see how well, if you can find a spot where the the water literally does perk out, because we lost a lot of plants even in this drought by overwatering, but at the same time over the years where holes are dug, the plants are put in there, and just it comes a big rain and that water just doesn't perk out long enough, and those plants sit there and drown. It just stands and doesn't go away. So
Yeah, I put all kind of pine needles and stuff like that around them.
yeah. Well, that's great to help on the pH part of it, but the water issue is totally something altogether different. I mean, if it's sitting in water, but spend the $9 and do a test. You spend a lot of time and effort on all this to not to, if you don't know what your pH is, just do the test and find out, and we can do it either in our office or down at the Walker County office. Well, we send it off, but we can, take care of that for you. But
I took a sample out there to Holcomb. They can check it too.
Right, yeah.
And he talked like the soil was okay and everything.
Okay. I can't help you on that because that's what they've done there. If you'll take a test and send it to the university, I'll know I can understand what they're telling me on those results.
Right.
So that would help out. Just it may cost you a few dollars, but it sounds like you spend a lot more than $9 doing
waste.
all you've done. Over time. So
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it.
oh, you're welcome. Yes, sir. Well, good luck with it. And but those are some ways you can actually do your cuttings, and not only just for that. You can do azaleas. If you're after azaleas bloom this year, a lot of people like to trim those, take those cuttings, do the same thing, and you can have more of those. If you got a particular variety or color you like, you can kind of do the same thing with those. So
And you can do that with hydrangeas. You can do that with a lot of different.
I did some hydrangeas this past year. Mom had done it years ago. I think it's Oh, yes, sir. Thank you for calling. Yes, sir. The same kind of I think. Propagating your own plants. There were some low limbs, and I just put some bricks on them, and then just let them root, and they rooted. And so just dig those up, put them in a pot, and you got some new plants to kind of take care of them. So.
And that's an easy way to do it. I mean,
it is, yeah.
I mean, it's taking care of itself.
Right. And because those things get big all of a sudden. I mean, they just have blooms everywhere. And of course, there's all kinds of hydrangeas. You got some that are totally white all the time, and there's some that like the oak leaf. I think they're pretty neat too. I ain't got any of those, but there's other. I guess it's just the garden variety that it can either be pink or blue, just depending on the soil pH. Yeah, kind of like the litmus paper, a litmus test you used to do in high school. Basic is it pink? Basic, I can't remember. And then that's more acidic. It's blue, that kind of thing. And you can kind of do it different ways. And you may have some years that if you start playing with it. Some of the plant will be pink, some will be blue, it'll be half, or
and it'll be kind of variegated.
Variegated and all kinds of stuff, yeah. So that goes back to the pH though. So you kind of.
And some of them now they've played with and made so that they stay pink or they stay.
There's all kinds of hybrids and those kind of things, right?
Color that are hybrids and like you said, some of them, the ones I'm in the process of putting out are white. I mean, they are white.
Right.
Not,
and you can find about anything. It's more and more whatever you look. If you want to go with a particular color, you can find that in the stores, or you can buy things. It's just amazing what's available out there on the market now.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Just whatever you want, you can find it either in a hybrid or you can use your chemistry techniques and manipulate
break out
it.
the old chemistry set
That's
almost.
right. Manipulate the color of it yourself
Right.
just by altering the pH of it, and I just think that's neat that you can do that.
Yeah.
Or your soil can determine it for you.
Right. But if you have questions, the soil sampling is the simplest way to do it.
Right.
And just take random samples. You can call the office and get instructions, and we got brochures and things like that on how to do it and all. And but that's a good way to know where you're starting from, especially if you're a new gardener, a new homeowner with a lawn or whatever. Do that when you get out there starting to mess with it, so that you'll know where you're starting from, and in 10 years later, you'll know kind of where you've been and where you're going, and hopefully you'll get to where everything works out and everything. Hell, I told my daughter I'd do this, and I doubt she's really turned the TV on or anything, but she teaches over here Battlefield Primary. I said, Lauren, in the morning, turn the TV on about 11 o'clock, and I'll tell your kids hello on
Well, you
TV.
do that.
I don't know all their names, but if you're in Miss Lancaster's kindergarten class at Battlefield Primary, hey guys, good to see y'all. Hope y'all are enjoying your day today. Have a good day. Anyway, I said they're probably even looking, but anyway.
Well, maybe they had the TV on and
Yeah.
they were looking. In all the magazines, that's what I was looking for. Is that they advertise all the new, and every year it's like a fashion show, I guess, for clothes. They have a fashion show of all the new plants that are out. Y'all used to always get that list of
the gold medal winners. In
Right.
fact, somebody sent out asking. I think this is like first year in like maybe 15 years that they haven't done it. It's kind of
Really?
run its course. I'm not sure, but anyway, somebody just asked about it the other day. But yeah, and they would have like an annual, a perennial, a shrub, a vine, about 10 different things, or 5 or 6 different things. And but each year they would pick a new one, and they were pretty popular. I mean, it was
Right,
the going
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
And I don't know. I remember one year it was that sweet potato blackie or something like that, and it was the old. And I never had thought. I mean, used to think about sweet potatoes being always in the garden and growing sweet potatoes, but it was a dark maroon or purplish color plant, but they were using it actually in the landscape.
Right.
But it was called sweet potato blackie, and it was a very dark colored plant, but it was pretty. I mean, it could be almost like a vine
trailing.
cascading down and on things and all, but all kinds of, over the years, all kinds of things have been put on that list and everything. So.
And this is a new mid-size loropetalum. It's called the Red Diamond.
Yeah, we got some Chinese loropetalum there at the house and had it for years. And they're pretty. Ours is a little more pink, and I like that. I think I like that red a little better. So
That's what I'm.
we'll go with.
That's
Has he got
one
it down?
thing I'm sacrificing my back for.
Yeah, you've been working pretty hard to get your landscape
but
going.
it's a good contrast with the the bright greens. It's a pretty contrast. But they always have names for them. They call it jewel tones, rich jewel tones.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I always like to see, especially if y'all don't have them. Y'all don't have a list anymore.
No, well,
but a
they
lot
use
of
the same list, but it's not new plants being
Right.
put on it. So, but that would be one. I think at one point loropetalum was, but it was more the pinkish, the old standard pink flower, I guess.
Right,
back
and
in
that one has a pink flower. I think now they have one that has a white flower on it
Oh,
too.
it's no telling, yeah.
But they also have all those those proven winners. That, if you don't know what you want, that's a good place to go look.
Oh, yeah,
For all
yeah.
the new plants that are out, is just look through your magazines, your spring issues of your magazines, and you can see a lot of the new hydrangeas and shrubs and things that are out.
Well, they're good at. They definitely are ahead of the game as far as they probably worked on a lot of that stuff back in the fall. I'm sure to get all that artwork done.
There's
and everything.
a new ligustrum. It's a little brighter than just your regular ligustrum. I think it's called Sunshine. So I always like to look at those.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I'm going to tell you about something. This is Dr. Hinkle, Nancy Hinkle. She's one of our entomologists at the University of Georgia. And she sent out a little news blurb just the other day, and she says this is for North Georgia counties. And I know because I've been here 20 some odd years, and I think I've seen 2 different groups of these come through. But the 17-year cicadas, this is the year for them to come out.
I remember.
And
I remember the cicadas. Yes.
anyway, these we have some that are every year, and they're also called. Some people call them locusts because they come. This particular group comes out in such large numbers. But we have what's called the Dog Day cicada that comes out every July and August, I guess, and that's that pretty good size green color, almost a camo looking. Some jarhead bugs or some things like that. But they're cicadas, and they chatter in the trees. Got and there's some people drive you crazy, but also I think it's what I call the dog days of summer because it's that hot time and they just racket in the trees. But these will come out and just humongous numbers. And I remember the last time they came out, fell over there in Ringo. One morning hadn't heard anything about him, but he called and said he left his home because he woke up that morning and he didn't know what was going on. Got over there and literally they were covered the side of the house and the whole deal. They come out from under the tree there, I guess. But had several sighting or calls about them that particular year, and they're kind of colorful. I don't know if you can get a picture. Rick, if you can zoom in on this, you might not be. I'll hold it there for a second, and I got another one on, so it's got more than that on it. But anyway,
Here, I'll hold this then.
okay. And here's one on the ground from the ground up, but yeah, that's just a single one right here in the middle. But they're only maybe an inch and a half long, so that's they're not gigantic, but they got big red eyes. They almost look spooky. But you'll see these these things. This is one on the ground, and you might notice something like this. This is on some bare ground. And you'll see these little catskins, or that's their little. They come out of the ground in these, and then they shed these, and then come out, and they'll turn into they'll actually what they call harden off. Because the wings will actually be they'll be pink almost, or pinkish white when they come out, and then they'll get brown wings, and then they'll turn black with the big old red eyes. But all these holes through here. Also where they just have been in the ground for 17 years.
Like grubs.
Yeah. And they'll be in there and they'll come back out. Thank you, sir.
Wow.
But they'll be, you may have literally thousands of them, but you might see a lot of these on the cat skins. They'll crawl out of the ground and then they'll come up on the side of the tree and they'll shed that skin and then they'll harden up and fly off up to the trees. And they don't really do anything except drive you literally crazy sometimes. And I remember this because I went over. I knew there were a lot of them. I went over to the battlefield, and with the naked ear, it was so clear you could just hear them. Well, I said I'm gonna get me some sound, so I had this little recorder, and so I recorded the sound. And when I got back to the office, I turned it on, and it was so constant and so one pitched. It was like turning the radio on to static. It was just that's all you could hear. You couldn't hear any. Yeah, but. Just drove around there in the park, so they were they were everywhere, and so it'd be amazing. I bet if people didn't know about these things, and during the Battle of Chickamauga, if those things were to come out, there'd have been some people wondering what in the world was going on.
Where the
it's awful strange.
enemy was coming from.
But anyway, every 17 years, and this is the year for the 17 year. I think there's another group that's called the 13 year. Because I had some pictures of another group just a few years, 13 years ago, I guess. But so if you start to wake up one morning, it'll probably be in the next few months, and maybe as early as May or June or somewhere like that. Start seeing these things. That's what's going on. And again, they're not harmful. They just kind of spooky when you see all those come up, and But they've just been in the ground under. I think the tree I remember seeing under. It might have been a. One of those box elder trees or something like that. But they just come up, and they were on this guy's chain link fence, and just don't tell them where all you'll find them at.
Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere, yeah.
I was in Dade County, the square, and the courthouse was in the square, and the office was there. And I remember getting out of the car and starting up that sidewalk, and they were everywhere. I mean, it was like somebody had just dropped a gajillion of them right there.
Well, it's almost like that, yeah.
And they were so loud, it was like walking into another world or something, because we didn't have that many in Lafayette, but there it was just a whole concentration of them. It was so strange.
Well, I remember that particular year, it wasn't like everybody had them. This guy had them, neighbors might not have had it, but they could hear them and everything. And then another little spot in the county may have them here, so they're kind of sporadic. And I'm assuming what happens is they'll fly around or whatever, and then they'll lay their eggs somewhere. So next year you may or may not, or the next 17 years you may or may not have them. Next go around. But what you will probably notice later on, like in the late summer months, August, September, maybe even October, is in a lot of these big trees where they're coming out under. You'll start seeing a lot of little dead tufts of leaves. Because what happens is that they come out, they mate, and then the female actually goes up into the tree, and then she actually cuts a little groove into the bark of a limb, and she'll lay her eggs there. But she does enough damage so that over time, that limb will break off and fall to the ground, and that's how her eggs go from up in the tree down to the ground, and they go back into the ground, and then 17 years later they come back again.
Is that amazing?
It is amazing.
It's just amazing.
So don't be alarmed. Well, you may be alarmed, but don't worry. They're not going to eat up a whole anything. Really. In fact, they do very little feeding. Maybe just a little sap on here and there, but it's
They've
not like
already done their damage.
Yeah. So by the time you worry about them,
yeah.
right?
Wow.
So don't. They're not going to be feeding on all the leaves or anything like that. But anyway, they're supposedly supposed to be coming this year, this summer. So keep an eye out for those. And if you do see some, feel free to give me a call. I'd like to maybe come out and take a look at them or get some samples again, because it's one of those weird things. But you can call us at 706-935-4211 there at the Extension office in Ringgold, and I'll be glad to talk with you about it. But again, no big concern, and you may even just see the cat skins. And a lot, like I say, we have the old the jar heads or the dog day cicadas every year. They're much larger, and but you may see their cocoon or their little shells hanging on trees too. But they're actually larger also. Those shells are larger than what this periodic cicadas thing. And I've got some at the office. Probably should have brought some, not live, but they're dead. But they're still got the big old red eyes and kind of funky looking little rascals. So. And for those of you and that have maybe come by our office or might be coming by the office in the next few weeks, we have actually moved
Really?
for a short time.
Oh,
We had to have some water damage taken care of there in the office, and so we're just right next door in it's called Catoosa Hall. Used to be the old courthouse annex, same building. But and for those of you who might have registered to vote in the last several years, of course, the voting has moved over to the old nutrition center now. But now, so we're in that same building where the voting precinct was, right there in town, right there in the Catoosa Hall. So just we're there. Come by and visit. Same hours, 8 to 12, 1 to 5, Monday through Friday. Same phone number and everything. Just a little different location. We got some big signs on the door pointing folks over our way. But just hopefully it won't be much longer. We got to get all the stuff dried out and walls fixed. But other than that, so just one of those deals.
Just a temporary.
Oh yeah. Only been 80. Let's see. I think it was built in maybe 1935, 1938. So 80-something years in the making. So
Since there's been any.
So we'll have a good dusting by the time it's all said and done. So
Just a few little things needed to be attended
Yeah,
to
yeah.
in 80-something years.
Right.
You're due.
Yeah, exactly. And I got this morning. I know I need to take care of this weekend, and I just going to. And I don't know if Judy probably has mentioned it through her stuff, but it's always in the spring a good time to get your rabies shots and for your animals. And this Saturday, April 22nd, there's going to be some here in the county, and then also next Saturday. And I think not next Saturday, but May the 6th. We skip a week. But this Saturday, it's going to be at Lakeview Middle School from 10 to 12, Westside Elementary School from 12:30 to 2, Heritage Middle School from 1 to 2, Graysville Elementary School from 3 to 4, and then Ringgold Elementary School from 2 to 4.
I can't remember. I read that schedule for Walker County, but I've slept since then.
Well, I saw I was over at Norman's yesterday, and they had the same little thing. I can't remember what it was either, but I know it's that time of the year to get your rabies shots and everything.
Check with the extension office if you.
And make sure we get that done. I know here it's $10 for the vaccination, and then your $5 for your county registration tag for each animal. So make sure you get that done, because I went to a thing we still have rabies in the area with the raccoons and those kind of things. I guess it's skunks and those kind of things, but hadn't had any cases. I don't reckon really show up, but it's still out there. So we want to make sure that we keep our family members safe, our pet family members safe, and with their shots and everything. So keep that in mind. And again, you can call our office too, and for the next for the other schedule for the next Saturday, May the 6th. So be glad to work with that.
7712. Go ahead with your question.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Again, Helen, this is Annette.
Good morning, good morning.
I tell you, rabies is a serious thing. I live in the heart of Port Oglethorpe, and I'd say 15 years ago, we had one raccoon that was in our neighborhood and ended up in our yard.
Oh,
And that was one of the most frightening things because it had been rolling around. I wasn't aware until it ended up in our side yard, and we had animals and all. We had to treat where it had been because it was in perilous condition.
Yeah.
And it was on the weekend when we found it, but we did get someone out to take care.
and
But
it was,
I wanted to ask him about the ants. Are you familiar with diatomaceous earth to use that as in your yard and around your house?
Yes, ma'am. It's a good non-chemical type thing that you can use, and diatomaceous earth, I guess, is same.
I didn't think I-
You're good though. That's fine.
Have the bag in front.
But
put your glasses on.
it's more like a soil, and it works on a lot of different insects too, because it's something that it kind of messes them up. I mean, if they get on it or whatever, it kind of cuts them and
It cuts them.
yeah, and it messes their body.
But it's safer around our animals, isn't it?
Right. Now, I'm not sure if it's. I don't remember it being one of the top. I mean, I don't think it's one of the top things like for fire ant control or anything like that. But it may have a positive, result with them. But I know the fire ants. I'm
Well,
amazed.
they've come on with a passion this year.
Yeah, I'm amazed that.
Talking about just the little ants that get in the kitchen, but I did want to ask you about the fire ants.
Well, there's some stuff out there. So again, it's not. I'm not sure if the diatomaceous earth would be the ideal product. It may be because they are so aggressive and everything that you may have to actually do a little bit more with actually some chemical.
So is that good for the household ants, just the regular ants, or would you recommend something else for them?
Yeah, no, I'd probably recommend a little something different. But I think with the ants, we can't just do one thing. We got to do a combination of things. So treating outside the house, up against the foundation and that kind of thing,
Right.
outside the
There's
window.
source, I know that.
Right.
I get.
Maybe using some of the same things you could use for fire ants or whatever there on the outside, either a pour-on
so
type.
use it for both.
Yeah, either a pour-on type thing where you'd use on a mound, or some of the baits where they feed on it and do and then kind of kill themselves out. But then also there's some gels that you can get. Some like Combat makes one. There's 2 or 3 different ones. Anyway, I don't guess I should be talking about brands or anything, but
It doesn't matter.
but it'll work
Didn't
very
hear
well.
that. What did he say?
I said Combat makes one, but I don't know that
Okay.
I don't know that I need to be bringing up brands. But anyway, but that you can use in the house, and it's where you'd actually just put a bead of that stuff on, and they feed on it and kill those. So you want to work on them outside, but inside too. And a lot of those inside things are more a direct kill, in other words, they're going to feed on it and die. And you kind of want that because you want to get rid of those in
Right.
there, opposed to them feeding on it and having to walk all the way back home, to kill out the rest. So doing a combination of outside and inside treatments, and then still trying to kind of follow those rascals and see where they're coming in at if you can. I mean, sometimes even at our house, I'll find a bunch, but then it's hard to see that trail. But sometimes you'll see that trail that just, you can kind of follow them all the way to the house. And
Sometimes I'll
on the
find
wires
one.
and things.
yeah, it's amazing where they, it's kind of like water running. It leaks over here, but it shows up way over there. Same way with the ants; they can walk on like I said, a wire or whatever, and you just not know. You got to kind of follow them to figure out where they're coming from and going
If
to.
they didn't drive me crazy, I have a hard time killing them because they're the hardest working animals.
They are. You're right
Let me
there.
tell you, the fire ants, they built mounds next to my driveway.
Oh.
It's flashed, through the winter it started.
Well, we had such a mild winter that definitely hasn't helped us any, and even at the office we've got them, and I'm embarrassed to say, but and Miss Donna, I hope you're not listening. Donna Greason, she does a good job of keeping us some flowers in our flower bed. I mean our little containers, but literally one of those containers has been turned into a fire ant motel. There's a mound at the bottom of it, and you can they're just kind of mounted up. The whole thing is just a fire ant mound, I reckon.
It
So.
seems like when they get to a place they like, it's almost impossible. No matter what you do, they'll keep coming back
The
there.
same spot, yeah.
Yeah, to that same, or it's that way.
Well,
I just bore a hole down in this mound and put this stuff.
well, that's one of the ways. That's for the pour on. But now there's some bait type things you want to use too, possibly, and that's where you just sprinkle it out there and they feed on it. So a combination of baits, pour ons, and then the what I call it, gel type stuff on the inside. Work
One
up.
of these mounds is 18 by 10 or 12 inches wide. I mean, it's the biggest thing you ever saw. It's
Right.
by my drive, and I'm walking my little Yorkie saying, don't get near my,
Well, you're right. Well, now there's a product called Amdro, which is a powder, and it works well on those mounds too. And you're just going to sprinkle it on the top.
Amdro.
AMDRO, yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
Kind of smells funky, but it'll work. It'll work on them. Now, but it's better just to sprinkle it on and not really mess with the mound. I think the more you disturb the mound, you would think it probably would be the best thing to do, but it's not always the best thing.
Just sprinkling on the top.
Yes,
let 'em
ma'am.
work it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
And
I'm so thankful you were on there. This was meant to be.
well, good deal. I hope that works out. If not, if you need, as you're doing the process, if you need other information, give us a call there at the office at 706-935-4211.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Or if
ma'am.
you need other mounds to
Great
practice
day.
on, come to my house.
What?
I said, or if you need other mounds to practice on, come to my house.
I think I've got enough, Helen.
Well, you
I
might.
just saw some out in the yard when I went to the mailbox. I tell you, they're just, scattering.
Early, I
It's
know.
winter, and that causes it, doesn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll tell you, it's
Thank
awful.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We're going to stop, Charles, and take a break and hear from our sponsors. We've just gone over. If that's okay, we can still take our break, and we'll be right back.
We're on the air 24/7. A North Georgia taste of heaven. A fun place to be. And we're your family. UCTV.
For over 4 decades, your neighborhood ShopRite supermarkets have been the standard for quality and service. Locally owned means you'll find a smile on every aisle.
Best meat at the best prices. Farm fresh produce. Weekly specials on a variety of products.
Get the ShopRite seal of approval. You can't shop wrong at ShopRite.
At ShopRite, they have cube steak, my favorite, $3.59 a pound. Also, those sweet halos, a 3-pound bag, $3.99, and 5-day onions are only 69 cents a pound. They have Siler's pinto beans, 2-pound bags, 3 for $5. That's 3 packages for $5. They also have Food Club muffins, 59 cents for a pouch, and those Food Club beans or peas, 5 cans for $3. Food Club yogurt, 2 for 88 cents, and Food Club cheese, 5 bags for $10, or you can get the solid piece either for the same price. They also have Center Cut pork chops for $2.29 a pound, and country style pork ribs for $1.99. These are just a few of the many values you'll find at your local ShopRite store, where they still take your groceries to the car.
The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. The same rules apply to financial success. Saving money is the first step towards financial independence. And at the Bank of Lafayette, we have an investment account for every situation. How much you save is not nearly as important as establishing a regular pattern of saving and placing of your money aside in a safe and secure place. Whimsical thinking and immediate gratification can rob you of a financially secure future and a safe and comfortable retirement. At the Bank of Lafayette, we can help you choose an investment account that will help you reach your immediate, short-term, and long-term goals. The one rule that always applies across every economic timeline and condition: the sooner you begin saving, the faster your money will grow. Bank with confidence at the Bank of Lafayette, your hometown bank for more than 110 years. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
At the Rosewood Assisted Living and Memory Care, we have everything your senior could want in a safe, comfortable residence. Several levels of services include short-term housing for weekends or longer, assisted living where the staff provides a watchful eye while preserving your loved one's privacy and dignity, or independent living where residents are able to take care of themselves yet have access to all amenities and a sense of security. And the Rosewood on Battlefield Parkway specializes in memory care for patients of Alzheimer's or dementia. Call today for a tour of our campus.
MetaThrift Pharmacy, located at 324 West Patton Street in Lafayette, across from the ShopRite. MetaThrift Pharmacy provides prescription drugs, including compounded prescriptions. They also have diabetic supplies, including custom diabetic shoes. They have lift chairs, potty chairs, shower seats, and other durable medical equipment. MetaThrift Pharmacy in Lafayette has a friendly, well-trained staff that will help you with your drugstore needs, whether you're on the phone or in the store. You may also leave your refill request on their automated phone system, available 24 hours a day. Make them your choice for your pharmacy needs. MetaThrift Pharmacy, 706-638-3114.
It's the Honeybee Festival 2017 in Lafayette, Georgia, on the square, beginning at 9 a.m. June the 3rd. Folks, there's live music, arts and crafts vendors, food vendors, a barbecue competition, baking contest, cruise-in, antique tractors, the Birds of Prey exhibit from Chattanooga Nature Center, a free kid zone with face painting, games, and inflatables, honeybee and beekeeping tips, exhibits, and demonstrations, and featuring country music superstar Craig Morgan. Also, the Stepping Stones, Channing Wilson, Robbie Hopkins, Sons of Sailors, and many other groups. It's free admission, and it's sponsored by Pigeon Mountain Trading and CHI Memorial. The Honeybee Festival on the square, June 3rd in Lafayette.
We're back now. Charles Lancaster joins me, and we have a very patient caller who has waited while we did the break, and we're going to take his question right now without any further ado. Go ahead, sir.
I got a two-part question.
Okay.
I know you're from Catoosa County, but I live in Walker County, and I'm looking for a place to test my water. I just had a well dug, and I want to test the water. Do you know where it is in Walker County?
I do.
Well, I'll let her tell. Since she's from Walker, and I mean, I can tell you what we
You
a
tell
couple
him
of
what,
choices.
and then I'll tell him
Well,
where he needs to go.
You can actually have it done through the university, but in your case, having a dug well, I would check with the water company. Is that who you going to say?
Environmental health.
Okay, will they do that?
That's who does it, I think.
Okay, well, not in Catoosa, but
Okay.
but I'm not sure.
Oh, they don't do it in Catoosa? Who does it?
Well, they actually, if you're in Catoosa on their water system, the folks with the Catoosa Utilities will do that.
But he's not on it.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So it'd have to get. I thought you were going to tell me that you need somebody.
See, he said he just dug a new well.
Right.
So he wouldn't be on a water system if he just
No,
dug
no. That's what, well, but Catoosa Utilities will do that for anybody on a well in Catoosa County. So I don't know if in Walker County if the same folks, you might check with the utility over there, that your water provider for the county, because they do all that testing anyway with the labs. They would do that for somebody that has a well. But if not, then you can actually have it done through the university. Is a well already plumbed into your house and everything?
Well, it's plumbed everywhere. It's already plumbed.
Yeah, okay. Because a lot of time that particular test is a first draw type thing, where you have to let it set all night, and then you take the first draw in the morning. That way it gets what's going on, where it's everything is kind of settled out or whatever. Now there's also a lab up in Tennessee, Technical Laboratories. Sometime I would recommend that also. It's over on used to be on Cherokee Boulevard, but that's on the other side of town. Anyway, if you look in the phone book, it's Technical Laboratories, because sometimes those things are, even though it's first draw, it's also in just a very short window of time you need to get it there, and it's
environmental. If you do it through environmental health, they do it for you because they come out and pull it.
Well, check with environmental health there in Walker County, because that may be what they do that there. They don't do it in Catoosa, but they evidently do that in Walker. So check them with environmental health, and they actually will come out and pull that sample for you.
Did you tell me how much they need to test?
Well, that may depend.
Gallon?
No. I think you're more looking.
So-
Our little thing is the little bottles we have are only like maybe a pint, something like
Probably
that.
maybe
Yeah, but it's got to be a
8
clean
ounces or
bottle.
so.
They're probably going to be the ones that come out and take it though. That's
Yeah.
some of that's part of it. It's not the fact they'll do it, but they need to pull. They pull the sample so they ensure that it's done correctly. So check with them to find out. Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much, sir. I
Look,
appreciate it.
You're
look
welcome.
in the phone book under Walker County. Clay's office is right behind the extension office in Walker County, Environmental Health.
Just right there downtown.
Yeah, and that
Lafayette.
next building would be
Okay.
right
So
behind.
now you said you had two parts of the questions. Was that both of them?
I
guess
think he hung
okay.
up.
All right.
I'm not sure if it was. or
He might
not.
have been where to get it and how to get it or how much you needed to work with.
Yeah, that might have been it. Yeah, anyway.
Well, I got one other thing I want just to mention because
Okay.
unfortunately in the past few month or so it's gotten to be an issue here in Georgia a little bit, and that's with the avian influenza. And it's pretty much handled really through the commercial side of it. They're on top of their thing, but one of our concerns is, and through extension in different counties, are all the backyard flocks, people that have their own birds and those kind of things. And I guess one thing is if you feel like you have something like that, there's special numbers to call and that kind of thing. But the main thing is hopefully we don't have any of it, but we don't bring it in on ourselves. And so I know you may have heard where they've Department of Ag has issued some I guess it's no transfer type things where
Can't
you
sell.
can't sell birds, you can't have it. We've done away with all the shows right now and that kind of thing. So we're not bringing birds and mixing birds and taking them everywhere. But also, it goes back even further than that to us, you or I. So you have birds, I've got birds, and I go look at mine, and I come over to your house. I may bring something with me or pick up something and take back. So, you want to be very careful, even, not you can't be friendly, but just, hopefully your friends will understand that right now you need to be very careful on what you do. And so if you have a particular pair of shoes, and maybe that's the best thing to do, have a particular pair of shoes or a particular or clothing that you wear to work your birds with, take that off when you get back. Just at some point and change over, but don't cross-contaminate things so that you are not spreading something that you may have. And as the temperatures, I guess, will get hotter, it'll kind of help take it away from us. But a lot of its concern is comes from wild birds and that kind of thing, and you fly over and defecate and it lands wherever possibly, or you go down to even to a pond where they've landed or whatever. You could bring it back up to the house that way. So be very, if you have your own flock or just a few birds, poultry birds, chickens, be very careful that you don't contaminate them or help contaminate a neighbor or something like that. And we've got some neat little flyers and stuff like that that kind of talk about what all to do and what not to do. But and you may have even noticed, I know I got one yesterday, and if you've been down to the Walker County office, outside the front at the door there's a foot bath that we ask that you, if you have birds and that kind of thing, step into that so that you don't track any possible disease into the office, and or when you leave you can step in it again so you don't take anything back with you in case there was something going on. But that's kind of been more common in agricultural type places. Even some of the feed and seed stores may be doing the same type thing. I know especially down at there's a place in Calhoun that does a lot of things called Calhoun Poultries, but they work on a lot of equipment and stuff like that. And Norman was telling me that he'd gone down there, and they even asked it, when you come on the premises, if you got certain equipment, just put it on this cart. Don't even come into their building or whatever.
Yeah, let them take care of it.
Take care of that kind of thing. And even have stuff there for you to spray your vehicle down when you come and go, that kind of thing too. So, and of course, if you've in the commercial part of it, you're probably going through a lot of this anyway with your integrators and those kind of things. And they're really wanting to take precautions so that nothing else will happen here in Georgia. Just be aware. I mean, just be safe, and you just don't invite your neighbors over and let's all go down to the chicken coop and see what's going on.
Stand around and look at all the chickens.
Yeah, kind of stay away from that. And if you got any kind of bird houses close to your chicken, or maybe even on the property, but especially close to where your chickens are, remove those. You don't want to bring extra birds that are hanging around and everything like that. So, and just be on the safe side. Like I said, here's one flyer that was published, and we can get you a copy of that if you need something to kind of let you know what's going on and what to do and what not to do for the home flock. That's a good kind of thing to have. So I'll leave one with you there in case somebody wants to.
I don't have any of those except the birds. And I was in one of my flower beds yesterday, and I was just working away, and I heard a familiar sound, and it was the flapping of the wings. The hummingbird is.
Oh yes.
If you're attuned to that sound, and nothing sounds quite like the hummingbird when the wings are flapping so rapidly.
No, they're there, huh?
And it was up above my head, and I guess it was like, okay, what do I have to drop on your head to let you know that we're here? Because I normally know exactly the day. I always have it written on my calendar that to expect the hummingbird, because they come exactly the same time every year.
Right.
I hadn't even thought about them this year. I've had so much to do, and
they match up pretty close.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, do I need to ring the doorbell and let you know that we're out here? Put the feeders up.
I got you.
So, I guess they were just trying to get my attention. So
well, I guess they wanted, because they knew it was just, if it was like it, I don't know how it was over at your place, but here, just a few hours later, it got pretty rainy and everything yesterday evening. And
late yesterday it did.
Please feed us for it. The rain's coming.
I have had some things blooming, so they have had some things to be drinking from. So.
Well, good. Well, that's always a neat time. They're such a pretty animal to have around the house. I remember we used to have them. Feed them a lot more. I need to get back doing that, but it would be so cool to sit there and watch them, and they'd go off and hide. I'd just sit there and try to figure out where they're going. Somebody go perch on a limb for a while, and they come back. And
I'm sure they've nested pretty close to the house, but they'd have to have.
You find that more and more every year come back. I mean, do they bring their siblings, I guess?
They tell all the cousins and all the family, and how they, that's just amazing to me that they know exactly where they've been fed, and they come back year after year. Yeah. But we have had greater numbers than, I haven't been as diligent and as attentive as I, have once had been. So I've got to get back on track and of course, before we lost that tree, there was a huge canopy. It was a hummingbird paradise. I mean, they were so protected from everything, and they weren't out in the open. So that's another thing. Losing that tree was a real. I'm sure they loved it when they had that tree.
I bet, yeah.
And they put on a show every night about sundown. They put on a show. It was really something to see. But anyway, nature's free.
Oh yeah. Well, you're right. That would be kind of neat, and to have a lot of them there to be able to appreciate it with all the activity. Because just sitting them, having 2 or 3 come around and buzz. And
we would have 30 or so.
Oh wow!
Gosh, I mean, it was like you couldn't. You were afraid your head was going to be. I mean, they'd come like. Just hover like this beside your face.
Huh.
It was
cool. That would be neat. Yeah.
But anyway, they're neat birds.
I hadn't even thought about the hummingbirds. Yeah, that's especially with the way the weather's been so crazy. Because for things that really pay close attention to the weather and how it affects what they do, it seemed like this year will be one that really kind of confused them, because it's been so warm for so long, and seemed like, but
they're back.
They're back. Good deal.
They're back. So I got to get some feed out for the hummingbirds.
Well, Ellen, just to kind of wrap up, Helen, I just want to remind everybody that it is time, but still time to do some soil sampling. And if you've never done it before, and you think, well, gosh, I ain't got time to do that before I do start my planting or whatever, go ahead and pull your sample, and then do what you're going to do. But then you still have, because if you ever add fertilizer or lime or anything to it in a short period in the short run, you've kind of skew your results. So pull the sample, do whatever you're going to do, and then when you get the results back, you can say, okay, well, I needed to do a little bit more, or I didn't quite need to do as much as I did, but at least you know where you started from, and you can go from there.
You have
a good base
place
to go.
to start.
Right, and it's simple. 10 to 12 random samples throughout a yard, a garden, whatever you're doing, but you need to go down 4 to 6 inches deep. You're not worried about just on the top inch. You're really wanting to see what's going on in that whole 4 to 6 inch depth, because that's where your root, most of your roots are going to be in that area. So if your top inch is good, that's because everything, all the roots are going to try to get up there. So you really want to make that change in that whole soil profile, 6 inch profile there, to make sure that those roots can get down in there and grow and prosper and spread out, and also kind of as you start digging around, you kind of see how well your water percolation is and that kind of thing. And back to what I was telling the other gentleman earlier, if you got questions, dig a hole, pour water in it, and just see how long it takes it to dissipate or drain out. Because if it sits there for a good day and a half or something like that, just think about, you put a plant in that situation, and it takes that long for that water to go. They're going to kind of be on definitely wet feet and drowning, and on a regular basis over a long period of time of their life, they're going to go the other way. They're not going to prosper. They're going to kind of end up drowning or root rotting and everything over time. So, see about what's going on, and it might mean you have to move something or go to some raised bed type stuff or something like that. But, you still grow things, but just don't put your plants in a bad situation. And
better to be too dry than wet, right?
Yeah, it is. You can always, yeah.
All right, we're going to have to end on that because he's going to turn us off. So.
Well, it was a pleasure to be with you again.
It's nice to be with you too, Charles, and I'm so happy to see you here at 11. And we'll see you again next week for What Women and Men Need to Know. Thank you for being with us today.